In this tutorial, we are going to learn about a multi-agent framework which calls some parallel agents and do some stuff. And then finally, there is an aggregator which aggregates the result of each agent that we have called. And all of these stuff we are going to do using a Python library called asyncio. So first thing is, let's see the prerequisites. Only thing you need is an API key just for calling the parallel LLM calls. So I'm using OpenAI's API key. I've already added this into my local env. And let's talk about the architecture. So what this tutorial is about, there would be an input text, a job description, and a candidate context. So whatever things you have written in your resume. We'll call three parallel agents: JD Analyzer agent, Resume Gap agent, and Project Manager agent. So JD Analyzer agent is something which will convert the raw JD text into some action items. Okay, what is needed, what is the priority, what they are looking for, into some action items. Second is Resume Gap agent. So in this, we'll send the JD, we'll send the resume, and we'll find what are the gaps in the resume itself. And third thing is the good things about resume that matches with the job description. And finally, the output of these three agents would be given to a multi-agent orchestrator, which will receive the outputs and will finally create a presentable format result. So this is how all of things will be going to flow. So let us try to run this particular cell. These are just the imports. The first step is to load the env. So in env file, I have defined the OpenAI API key and a model, that is GPT 4.1 mini. Let's try to run this. Okay, so it ran successfully and we are using this model. Let's come to step 2. Step 2 is define inputs and output schemas. That is very necessary when we are dealing with multi-agent scenarios, because a particular agent needs to understand the output of second agent. If that is in text format, there could be some discrepancies. So what we does is, the output of a particular agent, if it's defined in a well JSON format, it is easy for the second agent to read that. So we have defined tutorial input. The input will be taken as JD text and candidate text, and these are some functions, just some utilities to handle the null values. The second, we have JD analysis output. It will have these keys when it has analyzed the job description. It will have hiring priorities, must have signals, nice to have signals, and screening risk. Okay. Second is resume gap output. So it will give you strength to keep, high impact gaps also it will provide, missing matrices or evidences, and rewrite suggestions also it will try to give you. Then finally, project match output, best matching projects, mapping to requirements, missing project evidences, recommended project bullets. Then final recommendation, it takes everything, all the responses from the above agents, and will give you a fit summary, top resume gaps, resume alignments, tailored bullets, and next action. So it is just kind of a summarization tool for all the three agents. Okay, let's try to run this. So we have defined all the base models. Now let's try to see what is the JD and what is the resume. The JD, you can see Stripe is hiring a backend engineer for money movement team in Bangalore. So what you will do, build reliable distributed system that power payment and payout workflows, design and evolve internal and external APIs. So this is kind of a very generic job description that we can see today. Requirement are strong backend fundamentals in Python or Java, experience with distributed system, data consistency, and fault tolerance. Now let's jump to the candidate's profile. So our candidate is 4-year experience, name is Rohan Mehta. I have taken this just for an example. And current role is software engineer 2, payments platform, resume summary is there, experience highlights is there, design and ship Python fast API services, handling 8 million plus daily payment status events. And then led the migration from monolith to event-driven worker architecture, which is a very common things that people put in their resume. So let's try to run this. So now we have gotten into a format where we can give this particular thing to our agent. Okay. Now build a reusable base agent. So we are going to define 4 different agents. 3 will run in parallel and 1 is the synthesizer. All of the agent will inherit this same class, which is called base agent. It will define a name of the agent, what is the system prompt, what is the output model that we are looking for, and it also has a function of build user prompt, and finally run. So in run, we are just calling a chat completion API from the OpenAI. So let's try to run this also. We have done this. Now let's define the JD Analyzer agent. The name is JD Analyzer agent. You are a senior technical hiring panel analyst. Return a strict JSON with this and this keys. So this keys belongs to JD analysis output. And the user prompt, we are just giving the job description. The job of this agent is to analyze a job description and convert the text into a proper format. Then we'll go to resume gap agent. Resume gap agent is an expert recruiter and technical resume reviewer. Here we are passing job description and the candidate context to find the gap between them. Okay. And then finally we have project matcher agent, where it will map candidate project experience to the role and produce a stronger evidence bullets. Okay, that maybe you can put in your resume or maybe you can use in the interview itself. So I'll run this also. Now let's come to multi-agent orchestrator class, the class which runs all the agents in parallel and then finally runs a synthesizer. So if you'll see, I'll start with this particular function, run in parallel. What it's doing, it is launching 3 agents, and for each agent that we will define in the input, okay, it is creating a async IO task, and finally we are waiting for that task to complete. So all 3 tasks will run in parallel, and then finally we are sending the output of each agent into a synthesizer. Okay, let's jump to this synthesize with LLM function. So what it does is it will read all the outputs. Okay, it will check if no agent has failed. Then finally it will prepare a JSON structure, and then finally it's calling a chat completion API call. So you are a senior technical recruiter, that's what the prompt says, system prompt. Return strict JSON only with these keys, and fit summary must be a single string, the other 4 can be array of string. Okay, and finally we have given all the output of the agent, and we have also said that do not invent experience that are not present in the candidate context, just to prevent hallucinations. Let's try to run this also. So now each and every class we have defined properly, we have defined the system prompts and we have defined the output that is required. Now we have defined agents that we need to call, and now we are calling the orchestrator. In the logs you can see it's launching 3 agents in parallel, and in 3 seconds JD Analyzer agent has finished, resume gap agent took 7 seconds, and project manager agent took 8.3 seconds. So after 8 seconds all of them have run in parallel. Finally the output of all these agents have been sent to a synthesizer. So now as you can see, the final recommendation synthesize inside orchestrator, that is also done. So now we are going to print the output of each agent. So JD Analyzer agent, what it has done is it has given us some higher priorities from the JD, like strong backend engineering skill in Python, must have signal it has given proficiency in Python and Java, hands-on experience with distributed system, and nice to have, it has asynchronous programming and event-driven architecture and familiarity with the payment or fintech domain. Screening risk, candidate lacking experience in distributed system or backend fundamentals, limiting exposure to incident management and production reliability. These are some screening risks. Now resume gap agent, where we have passed resume as well as the JD, it has given us some strength to keep, like strong backend fundamental in Python. And high impact gaps are no explicit mention of owning production incident end-to-end and driving follow-up improvements. That is something missing from the resume. No direct mention of designing or evolving internal and external APIs. That is also missing from the resume. Okay, it has also given some missing matrices or evidences, and rewrite suggestions also are there. So you can just go to the GitHub repository and just download this particular notebook. I'll keep the sales output there, or you can go ahead and change the job description and resume, and you can run it yourself to see what's happening. Now coming back to project matcher agent, it has given best matching project. So payment reconciliation engine, merchant alerting system are some projects that you can talk about. Then mapping to requirement is also there, and recommended project bullets are also there. So once we have all the output of our agents, let's try to give a final summary. So this is final summary. It is much more consolidated. Fit summary is Rohan Mehta is a strong backend engineer with 4 years of experience of fintech and demonstrating solid Python backend fundamentals. It hasn't mentioned Java. Okay. So top resume gaps are no explicit ownership of production incidents and end-to-end, which was a requirement in the JD itself. So it gives you a good enough picture of what is missing, what good things you have, how to present itself, okay, in the bulleted points, or maybe how you can discuss it with the interviewer. So this is all about the tutorial. You can find the GitHub link in the comments itself. Go ahead and try it yourself.